Hello, PC people. Today we are going to talk about the listing process. This is a long one, so buckle up. We're going to go through the whole process, but not get into the documents. We'll get into the documents in the steps after this video. This is just an overview of the listing process. That process is going to start where all of our processes start, which is going to be in our PC group with our files. So under files, there are going to be several documents that you want to download and use. The first is going to be the seller procedure checklist. So this is step by step how to do a listing from start to finish. Our first is the phone consultation. So I'm going to make contact with my seller. Then it says pre-listing consultation questionnaire. That is also in the PC group. So you're going to come back to here. It's the 16-step buyer process. And that is here. So this first part is teaching you how to use the Ninja selling system, which is what I use. I'm going to skip past all of this down to the pre-listing interview. This is what I'm doing on the phone to qualify them before I go out to their house or waste my time doing a CMA. So the names on the property address, the mailing address, the owners and decision makers, the phone numbers for each, fax we don't do anymore, and then emails for each. Why are you selling? When do you need to move? Could you describe your home for me? How long have you owned your home? What sold you on your home? What features did you like? Have you done any updates to your home? These are important things when you're doing your CMA to know if they've done any updates thus far. Then if you were to stay in your home another 5 years, what are updates that you would do? And then for a moment, pretend to look at your house through a buyer's eyes. So it starts them from the beginning, kind of thinking, what would I change if I were a buyer? What would a buyer see when they walk into our house? These are all questions I'm asking before I start work on their CMA. So, and then the three things that you're looking for in a realtor, you're not going to address these things now. You're going to address these things during the listing consultation, which is after we get our CMA together and our listing documents. So, ask these questions over the phone and then set the appointment. So at the bottom of this is set the appointment. Set the appointment for the listing presentation. Then we're going to go back to our checklist. So I've set the listing appointment when I'm going to show up to their house. After my phone conversation, I need to compile the following: a CMA based on the listing questions that we just went through, a listing presentation, and my contract documents that I'm going to want them to sign there on site. So the first is going to be my CMA. I do all of my CMAs through RPR. It's the class that Corey teaches here in the Market Center. That is not what we're doing today. I'm just going to show you step by step. So I'm going to go into RPR. I'm going to enter the address of my property that I want to do a CMA on. Here are my options, right? This tells me what it thinks it's worth, when the last house sold, who the owners of the house are, when the house was built. So some good information. Down here on the bottom, it'll tell you additional things like, did they get a loan on it? Who is the loan through? What are the elementary and high school and schools like? All this other information that goes along with this property, which is just great to know. I like to check if the owner's names that they gave me on my call are actually the owners of the property, because that's important. You never know. You open this up and then it has 3 owners. Oh, well, my mom co-signed when we bought it, but she's since passed away. That's a problem. So I'm doing my research before I go to this consultation. Notice it also has the seller's net sheet. Please fill this out. It does the math for you. All you have to do is plug in the blanks. How much do they owe? What are they planning to pay to buyers, if anything? Compensation for you, buyer concessions, termite inspections. It goes through the whole list. If you're on the South Carolina side, it'll ask you for the transfer tax. There's a transfer tax in South Carolina, not in Georgia. So you need to fill that out and take that with you so they know, based on the price that you're giving them, what they will net roughly. And make sure you tell them it's a rough estimate. And then CMA, I go into create, it would say create, because I've done this a few times. It'd say create a CMA. It's going to take me to the next step, and then the next step, and the next step. It'll go into confirm your home facts, then search for your comps, then make adjustments to your comps, review, and then you can actually print this valuation workbook. Just know that the valuation workbook has like 74 pages. You really need to go through that and cull it down to about 20 to have any sort of real impact on them. Anything more than that, they're sleeping, right? So all you're really looking for is homes that are comparable to theirs and what their the pictures of those homes and what their final number is going to be. So you're going to use this to create your CMA. The next thing on this list is a listing presentation. So you can do it through command, just like I showed you guys before. You'll go into command, you'll go to create, you'll search here, or you'll scroll down until you find listing presentation. Here are the templates that they have for listing presentations, and you just go in and plug in your information. I bought mine, so I paid money for mine through Etsy, and I have done it in Canva. So this is mine. It's branded more to me. So the other ones are KW branded. This is branded to me. I do have the KW logo, but the pink is my brand. So I've rebranded this for me. A little bit about me, our goals for today, the process, the listing process, pre-listing, listing, listed and active, and then under contract. What things that I bring to the table. I bring printed materials. I make calls to other agents. I do a ton of networking. So that's part of my strategy to get their home sold, and on and on. So this is a pre-made one that I've just adapted to me. Talks about photos and how important they are. I pay for those photos for them. It's part of my proposition, my value proposition to my clients, using all of our tools. So we list on Zillow. Here are our next steps, which is to depersonalize, not declutter. We don't say declutter. People's things aren't clutter. They are depersonalized, their home. And then here's people saying how awesome I am, right? If you don't have any closings, get other people from other industries that you've worked in to say how awesome you are. It doesn't have to be real estate related. And then I pay for a 210 listing warranty to include the HVAC service as part of my value proposition. So that's part of my presentation that I show them as well. So that's my listing presentation. So back to the checklist. The next thing we need is our contract documents. So when I'm going to sit down in front of someone, I need my listing document. So and we'll look at that in other videos, but it's basically the brokerage agreement, how much we're going to list for, how much we're going to compensate the cooperative agents, etc. When we're going to list, what MLSs we're going to list in. Then the other document is going to be our ABAD. We need the seller's disclosure because they need to fill that out. We need the HOA if that is applicable because we need to fill that out. And then the wire fraud, which is a KW document. So those documents you need to have in your listing packet, which I put in a nice KW red folder. One side I have my presentation, the other side I have the CMA and all those documents that we need to fill out together. So now we're at the appointment. That's what I need to gather before we go. Now we're at the appointment. Be professional, dress professionally. This is a job interview, and it's a job interview that you're going to make a lot of money per hour on. So use your 4 questions to build trust and rapport. Then tour the home, highlighting what the seller loves about the home and what they feel need to be repaired. So I take that initial questionnaire from Ninja Selling, I flip it over, there's a blank page on the back, and I bring a little clipboard and I write the pros and cons. I draw a line down the middle, pros, cons, and we go through that together. I'm also giving staging advice as we move room to room. Hey, we should move all this into the garage. Hey, this is a really big piece of furniture. If we can move this in the garage, it would make this room look a lot bigger. Hey, the bed needs to shift to the other wall, whatever that is. I need neutral colors in here, that kind of stuff. So I'm giving that staging advice, which I've gotten a certification for. You can get a certification for online as well. Then we're going to offer staging depersonalization advice. We're going to present the listing presentation. We're going to present the CMA. We're going to present the exclusive seller brokerage agreement, which has these things in there. We're going to negotiate the list price, the compensation, the listing date, and ask for a key to the lockbox because you need that. A lot of times you would be surprised, sellers don't have spare keys. They have one and that's all they have. So it gives them time to get that spare key after you leave. Then leave the following documents for them to complete. The community association, if applicable. This is your HOA document and your seller's disclosure and your lead-based paint, if applicable. Actually, I take that back. Lead-based paint you have to have now for MLS. Whether their house was built before 78 or not, you have to upload this into MLS, period. Then after the listing appointment, you're going to prepare and send the contract documents digitally in DocuSign. Or if you've gotten them signed at the table, that's fine too. I typically send them all through DocuSign. Then these are the ones you need to send: your ABAD, your wire fraud, and your exclusive seller brokerage. If these others aren't being filled out by hand, then you need to send the seller's disclosure, the lead-based paint, and the community association as well. It just depends how your clients want to do things. Then you're going to upload the signed agreements to compliance. We need those in compliance before your listing goes live, preferably a while before. So within 48 hours of getting that signed, you need to have it in compliance. Then you got a little downtime where the seller makes the appropriate repairs and staging. Then you're going to order your photography. Once repairs, decluttering, and cleaning is complete, we're going to erase that word. We don't say decluttering. Then prepare your marketing plan. So purchase signs for the yard, purchase your super MLS boxes, create your MLS listing, set it to active and on the agreed upon date, and create your marketing materials. For your super box, this is the safest thing you can have on someone's front door. They are nearly impenetrable. If I have just a combo box, somebody can literally hit it with a hammer and it will pop open and spill your keys out. Secondly, you can track who's in and out of your house. You do need to purchase one of these from RGA. But if you ever leave, you give them back to RGA and you get some money back. It's a deposit. So I think the used ones are around 60-ish and the new ones are around 120, but you use them forever. I've had mine for 5 years and I'm still at 80% on most of the batteries. So if something were to happen where they didn't work anymore, you bring them back and they issue you a new one. So it's more like a deposit than purchasing the box, but it is the most secure and easily trackable way to make sure that people aren't in your listing that aren't supposed to be there. Then here's your checklist for your active listing. Place the for sale sign on the property no more than 24 hours before it goes live in MLS. Set up the super lockbox. Set up the seller approved showing times for the listing, and execute your marketing plan, whether that's paid social media advertising, print materials, making phone calls, sending postcards, whatever your marketing plan is that you discuss with your seller, that's the time to do that. This is your showing checklist. So you'll go through these items when people send you a showing request. You can set up your showings to where the sellers will approve them, and you won't even have to look at them. I personally have them come to me so that I can reach out to the agent to vet the buyer's worthiness for pre-approval. Hey, does your buyer have a pre-approval? Can you send it over so that we can review it? Which is something that I suggest to all of my sellers, that we have pre-approved buyers in their house. And so that's something that I do as due diligence for my sellers. So I have those come to me so I can do the due diligence for the seller. Then I approve them in showing time, and then I send the pre-showing compensation agreement to the buyer's agent. Then this is once you've received the offers, the items that you need to go through, and then this is your closing checklist. So use this document. Then with this document, there are other documents that it refers to. One of those is going to be getting access to your DocuSign and Command. That is also in the Facebook group. So it goes through step by step. How do I log in? How do I link those together? How do I start a DocuSign room? How do I put documents in there? How do I send them? How do I load and fill them out? So just follow this step by step. It has all your answers as to what you're trying to do. And that is basically the seller checklist procedure in a nutshell. The next videos following this will be on the individual documents. So we'll take each document one by one. But if you have a seller coming up, this is what you need to get first. If you have any questions, reach out to your coach.